placeholder here at Lilydale and has helped thousands of people heal, connect, and find answers to life's toughest questions. Patricia is the author of the recently published book, Timeless Love, A Guide to Healing Grief and Learning to Live Again, described as constant prayer and a litany of love and liberation. Patricia has also made many media and event appearances, including the film I, God with Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, Greg Braden, and Marianne Williamson. Patricia is the coordinator for our Children's Week during the Lilydale summer season and has been for many years. Patricia is a minister of the Church of the Living Spirit as well. And let me tell you, she is just an amazing, amazing person. And as you're going to see, a dynamic speaker. And she does so much for our community and so much for people individually. And I know she's been a great help to me and certainly a source of inspiration. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the podium over to her, Dr. Patricia Bell.
Good morning. And maybe all of you might realize I wasn't made to be a Victoria's Secrets model. I mean, who could carry all those feathers and beads? The thing is, we are in a profound time of change. Yes, there is sorrow in our life. Look at the past, how we've lost people that we love. And we sit in our seats and we come to Lilydale for that love, that nourishment, those words that says to us that that love is continuous. That love is what we are here for. But yet, what were we made for? You keep asking, and this song is so profound because we are in a time of being our authentic selves. The authentic self that says that if we can go within, we can and yes, each and every one of us in this room at some time has been squeezed. And all of a sudden we see what comes out of us. We see how we respond. I have a dear friend who said to me the other day, Patricia, I don't want to be angry at anybody anymore. I'm done with it. I just want to have that peace. But yet, he in himself is not going to be angry. But yet we know that there are others that can be. But what are we made for? Is he made for the opportunity to bring his creativity, his music, and his light, as some of us here are, to shift the vibratory field from this heartache, this sorrow, to what it is we're really made for. You know, time and time again, we look at our dreams. And what is it in our dreams that is addressing us to what we're made for? Think about it. Many Aboriginal cultures, they dream their children into being. That's right, if you go into Australia and the Aboriginal people, the original people there, they would have a song from each child that would dream them into being. So, is one of the questions you're asking, what is my song? The other piece is, you know, darlings, many of us are parents. And there's part of us that think, oh my gosh, I've been given this child and I have this blank slate. No, sweethearts, you have not. You are shepherds. Shepherds to listen to each and every child. But this takes you to a further step. You are a shepherd to yourself. Why is that word so empowering? It's because it's teaching us that we need to be kind and gentle and love ourselves and embrace our dreams. You know, there's this, I don't know, I'm sure there's some of you that watch the Hallmark Channel. And yes, they have two films. One is called Lemon Drops, and then another one is about dreams. And it's all about how those dreams are woven together. But in the one Hallmark film, as she had her many dreams, the last sort of lemon drop was to see what kind of dream was going to be created. But what did she decide to do? She decided to live in the presence and now of being able to be who we are. We are spiritualists here. And part of being spiritual is personal responsibility. Personal responsibility and authentic self are one and the same. So if you're getting this dream, I know I want to be something more. Something else is tweaking me. Something else is motivating me to take things to greater expansions. That's what's happening here, because it's talking about you being your authentic self. It's talking about that personal responsibility of having your responsibility for your thoughts, for your emotions, and for your actions. And guess what? Dr. Joe Dispenza is teaching thousands and thousands of people about their personality. And what are the three things he tells them to do? Be responsible for your thoughts. Be responsible for your emotions. Be responsible for your choices or actions. Wow. And what has he done? And those of you who haven't seen the movie, I strongly recommend it. It's called The Source. And in Dispenza's movie, he has hardcore medical doctors that are showing with blood samples and cells and brainwaves tests that by going into theta, which is part of our dreams, people are shifting their health. I mean, it's an amazing film. And part of it, the one part I am going to tell you, there is a medical doctor who had lymphoma cancer and had been treated with it with all kinds of chemo and everything else. And his wife, who is a therapist, said, come with me to Joe Dispenza in Cancun. Well, he went, and they knew his story. And he was there for a 10-day retreat. And not only did he meditate, but he was put in circles with healers. And he said he'd go back and he'd feel tingling and stuff going through his body. Well, guess what? You're here in Lilydale and you're going to be blessed to sit on a bench with healers, with all the love that is here in Lilydale, that has been happening, healing for hundreds of years now. It's time. But what is it? We have to be responsible to make that shift, whether it's in our healing, whether it's in our career, whether it's moving houses, whether it's changing our lives from retirement to whatever else there is. After you see the movie The Source, and these are hardcore medical doctors, I know it's an hour and 58 minutes and some of the medical stuff, it'll really let you know what you have inside you. What were you made for? Were you made for what Madison Avenue said you were made for? Were you made for, what you're told you're supposed to be? No, there is a light in each and every one of you. You know, during the children's program for 20 years, it is, I gotta tell you, it's a hoot and a half. Because the authenticity of these wee ones, you know, it's so funny, I have to say this. My one friend, Connie Britton, she was changing clothes, and all of a sudden she had a t-shirt on, and her little 5-year-old granddaughter looked at her and said, "Grandma, you have wings." What a way to look at yourself. You have wings, but authentic, yes? And you even see some of these Instagram videos of children who know in their heart, what is it to be kind? In fact, it's one of my favorite children's principles that's up on the board. Be kind, do good, and others will do the same. Is that what we're made for? The other piece is putting the dream, putting your authentic self in a place. Now, let's say you need to create a reality where that dream can happen. That's where we open up to spirit. You know, gosh, almost 30 years ago, I was sitting in my home, and my father had just passed. And I was sitting in a chair feeling as though I was an orphan. My mother passed, my father passed, my children were grown, my grandchildren were on their way. And I felt this, where do I belong? 4 hours later, my friend John White called me and said, "Are you ready to go to Lilydale now?" And so I got in a car and a plane and I came here. And do you know what happened? As I was driving down Dale Drive, I remembered that dream ever since I was 8 years old. That was what was in me. I knew I belonged here. I knew this was a part of it. I knew this was my dream. In a way, before my father passed, he said, "Hey, Patty, if whatever your mother says is right," and we know there's some of you that were dragged here by your loved ones who are a bit skeptical, "I'll come back and help you." Well, I found a house in Lilydale, and they wanted to sell it to me, and I got the financing in 4 days. The fellow that owned the house was James Buchanan. The fellow that sold the house was James Barnum, and my father was James Bell. I know, you see, if there are things that are this passion in our lives, we can ask Spirit to come into the time through our meditations that allow us to manifest our dreams. But it's about shining our light. And our light cannot be covered by our sorrow. Dear ones, those that aren't in spirit, and I know it's hard because we want to hug them, we want to hold them. They're in a beautiful place. And they are walking this journey with us if we will allow them. So, in an understanding of what you were made for. You were made to be kind, but most of all, you were made to love and be loved. Thank you very much for allowing me to serve you.